there. Right. What's possible in a month full of Sundays? I can't believe the scope and scale and size and magnitude and we've just got it complete. The finished product. It all started with the chooks turning up, and then the chook pen. And then with the chook pen, 44-gallon drums, and they perch on top of it. They don't mess their eggs, they perch on the top. You use the wood chip to clean the poo. At that point, the chicken dog, the African lion dog, is now left home to look after them. Ready? There is a kennel for them, but it's too big now. One's having a sleep. There's 2 beds for the lion dog. So the lion dogs are the guards of this little creation. So we've got the chook pen. It's got a windbreak up that end. House there, windbreak on the western side of it. I think the only thing I'll do in the future is potentially put a net over the top of it, but what's that to do? I don't know. I think you could probably leave it alone, to be honest with you. Next step with the chooks. I'm going to put my mulcher on the back of the tractor, and I've got a big pile of wood, like finger thick wood, and I'm going to mulch that all down, because when it gets muddy, all I need to do is bucket a load of wood chip into there, and they can scratch around the wood chip, and it gives them something fun to do, but also keeps it clean, them clean, something for them to do. And then when it's right to go, you've got chook manure and mulch to go back in the garden. So we've got the garden done. There's the grand finale. Here we go, there's the weed matting done. That's number 1, weed matting done. Now with the weed matting, it's fully irrigated. I've got a pipe just there to hook a hose onto if need be. Greenhouse, everything in the greenhouse is germinating nicely. Tank full of water now. I increased the dam wall level, got a couple of million litres of water spare. All I've got to do is go down and fill it up with, so I've got the firefighter pump, so it's just petrol. This is the manifold that I've ended up working with, and it's automatic off that timer. Why did I pick that timer? Because it runs off gravity feed. Digital timers need pressure. Also, I bought really good drip line. Hunter needs 15 psi minimum, or it ain't going to work. Oi! Next. You got to be like with big dogs. Now, so each garden bed's got a 3/4 inch line, 19mm line, running to the front of it for a garden tap to hook onto. So like I don't need a tap, I've got the tap back at the pump side, I just ran a pipe up here. Next, any discrepancy, so the pump fill line was running up and over the electricals. We dealt with that, we put it behind there. That's a windbreak that was built. Mulcher on the back of the tractor. I went and mulched a load of dirt, so the pipes are going through there. But as you can see, it's all tidy as anything. So it's just it's job done. I'll have to tidy that up now, and I'm going to turn that in a shed and put shelves and stuff in it. Now, yeah, grand finale. Now this is funny because the Lord works so funny. He worked with TD Jakes the other day about Liberia. And what I found interesting was next, as I was listening to Liberia, I got a crossword. And with the crossword, it was talking about African countries, and as I was listening to it, it's interesting that Liberia turned up. Now, the purpose to TD Jakes talking about Liberia was that life isn't a blanket, it's patchwork, it's a quilt. And so Liberia is like a liberated nation of slaves, a liberated nation of enslaved people. So that was the point to Liberia, and so the gift that Liberians like to give to people around the world is a quilt, and it's just to show that life isn't perfect. It's put together in patchwork, and that's the beauty of life. So I just thought it was interesting. So I've done all this, And why do I use bricks? Because it holds it down, but I can always lift it up if need be. 95% perfect, not spot on, that's all right. And so I've got the windbreaks here, nothing's flapping. This one here, this will be my garden bed. Getting to the irrigation's fine, I know where it all is. Now what's funny about the Liberian patchwork is I ran out just at the very end of shade cloth, but this is how our Heavenly Father works. I thought I had some in the shed, so I went to the shed. I opened up the container where I thought it was, and I've got a full pack of shade cloth. The exact patch that I pulled out, this is what's interesting, is it's there. It's what gives me my footpath now, and it's there in that corner, and wouldn't you credit it? It was exact to the foot, perfect. So I think this is God's way of saying, like, I don't want perfect, near enough is good enough. You know, excellent is just as good as perfection. So this is my little Liberian reminder that doesn't need to be perfect. So I mean, it would be lovely to stare at it and go, well, look at that, that's perfect. But at the same time, you could go, well, there's your footpath in. Anyway, so really big stuff, eh? Helps having a mulcher and a rotary hoe on the back of the tractor, because I could just access dirt and as much as needed as I need it. Now, so where are we at? The shade cloth at the back, that's for frost protection, as it comes from the south. It's only halfway up because it doesn't need to be all the way up. It's not a windbreak. That allows the electric fence, which goes all the way around the compound, to keep getting charged. That windbreak over there breaks the wind. So, you know, again and again, you don't need the best quality shade cloth. A little bit less in quality is good, because you're just trying to break the wind. If it's too good, you'll blow your infrastructure over it. You want it to just break but pass through. And that's the same with the pipe I was talking about earlier with the Hunter pipe. I went with, it's just Pope drip pipe in the end. Why? Because with Pope, they get you to put pressure regulators if you've got a pump to be able to run the drip. But if you're doing gravity feed from a tank, so Bunnings drip pipe, the Pope drip pipe, that's the key if you want to do gravity feed gardens. You don't need pressure regulators. If you're going to put a drip system in with pumps and stuff, Hunter or something equivalent, but you'll need to put the pressure regulators on it to get it to function. They run at a higher pressure. So this is the finished product. Underneath it, it's fertilised and there's dolomite on it as well. The trace element dolomite, I like to look at it as plant food as well as trying to rebalance the pH in the soil. The magnesium and the CaCO3s in it, they help to act as a catalyst in, hang on a second, we'll get it here in a sec, the photosynthesis of the growing of the plants. That's why I was saying it's good for food as well. Yeah. So instead of them having to go looking for it, fertilizer and manure is good because it's food for plants. CaCO3s and other trace elements are just as good because the plants need that to get the photosynthesis to happen properly to get them to flourish. So a little bit of excess isn't going to hurt anyone, because the long and short of it is it's stabilising the pH in the soil but giving it excess where it doesn't have to go looking for it. So if it's not looking for it, it's going to get fat, dumb and happy, quick, smart. So the entire objective to this is completely irrigated. Everything is 1 foot apart. I know where all the drippers are. I'll plant directly next to the drippers. There is enough fertiliser and trace elements on top of the soil. All we're going to do is get the plants planted and just turn the automated irrigation on and Bob's your brother. That's it, it's done. Oh, nearly. I got the bird nets that are going to go over the top of all this. I'll fix them on that back corner and they'll come over the top, and that'll be an anti-aviary. Now, one more thing, why did I go bird nets instead of putting just a anti-aviary together with chook pens? It's the same reason I ran a crisscross wire in the centre of them, and the reason why I ran a gate without a wire on the top of it. At day's end, when I've got to roll the plastic back and roll the irrigation back, I want to get the tractor in there to rotary hoe it. I know that's lazy, but it is what it is. So it needs to be you know, it's a bit of old, bit of new, bit of borrow, bit of blue. It's just, it's godly what's happened. It's really good stuff. It's almost like the perfect garden in a sense. So like weed management isn't a problem. You know, the only thing I'll have to look out for is just, you know, integrated pest and disease management, which will just be herbicides, fungicides, insecticides. Like just, I won't be, everything's organic, sorry. But, yeah, the reason why this is in is it's going to be a flower garden solely, and that's just to get bees. And I want a healthy bug life. I put the weed mat down instead of plastic because the weed mat needs to help the ground breathe. So there's this thing called grass tetany, and what I'm convinced of is, like, especially when it rains and there's cattle that compact the soil doesn't breathe. So when there's no trace elements left, like of dolomite in the soil, so we're talking like the CaCO3s, etc., and the magnesium, and the ground's also not breathing, yeah, so it's starving. It's starving for air, it's starving for food. So you want to, that was the purpose to making the decision on weed mat instead of plastic, is to allow the ground to breathe. So the ground is the environment, the soil is what I'm trying to look after. I want to keep its life good permanently. The excess of fertilizer and dolomite that I put on was purely to give the trace elements to the plants so they don't ever have to go looking for food. Is it going to make them soft? Look, to a degree, but they'll adapt to the environment. I don't want to destroy the soil. The soil has to be good permanently. So the entire purpose to this was like to create a little environment, and the only input now will be seed for the chooks. But, you know, give it some time, the chooks will then eat the excess and the overflow of whatever comes out of this. But it should be a self-perpetuating, self-maintaining, containing environment where it runs off minimal petrol, minimal battery power. So just, it's as, in a plastic world, it's as eco-friendly as possible. It allows me to go fully organic and have minimal input, maximum output. So I've leveraged the guts out of an idea to get to the point where I've just got to turn it on, walk away, and literally, you know, put stakes in them when it's time to put stakes in them, but there'll be minimal work to do with everything. Anyway, there we go. So a month full of Sundays, it's done. We've worked the land, the Lord requested it, and it's time to get back on with life. Can't believe it's done. That's how you put the end of winter to good use. I don't have to do this again for a while. May God bless you. Bye for now.